I'm an elementary school principal, assistant principal in Springdale, and I think one of the biggest things is the balance between running a building and caring for the people that are inside of that building. From the children to our classified staff to our certified staff, that is where my heart and passion is the caring side of it. And that's where I've been squelched many times by all of the outside forces, which has brought a lot of barriers within our jobs. So that balance between caring for them and doing everything I need for them and to keep them going, but also ensuring that we are teaching our kids to the highest potential and exceeding their learning in every way that we can. And I really feel like, we're losing people as I'm having to not physically step on them, but there are times when we are stepping all over our people to get up above and ahead, and that has caused us to lose some really, really amazing educators and classified staff, because it takes all of us. When I first began my teaching career 23 years ago, it's the thing I wanted to do the most. I had always wanted to be a teacher. It was my fifth grade teacher, or actually she was my fourth grade teacher, Miss Story. She was at Asbell Elementary in Fayetteville, and she's the one who really inspired me to be a teacher. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and so I knew that that's what I wanted to do for kids. And I was so excited to finally get that opportunity to do it, and I loved every single minute of it. I had an administrator who said, "Hey, I think you need to go into administration." So I was like, okay, well, I'll try this. But I loved teaching, and I still love to teach. So it wasn't something that I left the teaching field because, I'm tired of that. No, I left the classroom to pursue it in a different way. I knew I could impact families more. I knew I could impact kids in a wider spectrum. And so I was super excited about that. But I didn't leave the classroom because I was tired of it. I was so filled and so fulfilled every single day in that classroom, and was till the day I walked out of that classroom to move into this classroom. My classroom's a little different now. It's an office. I have a whole building where I can do it. This is where my bucket began to be emptied and emptied and emptied and not filled. And so the demands that are put on administrators and educators, and the burden that I feel every day, knowing that my teachers are so empty and trying to fill their bucket, but also trying to keep mine somewhat filled, is very difficult. And so at the end of last year, I knew I had to do something different or I was not going to make it. And that's a scary thing, because teaching is truly, truly what I inspire to do every single day. And I still feel, even as an administrator, I'm still teaching every day, all the time. So that's a big piece for me and why we applied for gap relief. I'd heard about gap relief. Our school psychologist had mentioned it a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, Lindsay, you need to do this. This is going to really, really empower you and inspire you." And so I was like, okay. So she texted me at the end of last year and said, "It's open, fill it out. So I sat down with our counselor and we filled out that application, and we waited patiently and waited until we finally got the email that said we'd been accepted, and I was overjoyed. Because I think I finally didn't realize how much we needed this until we were accepted. And when we were finally accepted, it was like, okay, I can take a breath, because there's going to be somebody standing beside me to help me through this, so that I can then in turn help my teachers through this. So it just was a relief for me and for my staff, knowing that the help was on the way. And through this journey this year, we have been empowered and inspired. Every time we go to anything gap relief, any email that I get, I leave with a smile on my face, ready to take on the next adventure and the next challenge that we will have. Because I know I'm filled with the things and the strategies in which to help and support my families, my students, and my teachers. And that is why I'm doing this. That's why I'm here. Doesn't make it, it's not any easier. It's not gotten any easier this year. Gap Relief didn't come in with a magic wand, but they've given me the tools to be able to handle those challenges in a much more productive way so that we can move forward. And I think that that's really the biggest piece for us as we are excited about year 2 and the things that we're going to experience. There have been several things that we have really just brought home with us. There are so many amazing things that we've done, but for us here, we do a lot of the pieces, but trying to spread it school-wide has been a little bit more of that challenge. So these are some of the things that we've taken with us. We've not spread it to all the teachers, but we do the Band-Aid, where when somebody is having that feeling, we put that Band-Aid on them. And one of the ambassador team members, she got heart-shaped Band-Aids so that when we give it to a student to show them that we love them and we care for them and we're thinking of them, and that they can touch that every time that wherever that hurt is, they can touch that and know that they've got us there with them and they're not alone. Because when I go back to what Gap Relief has been for us, is we're not alone anymore. We're with this team, and that is empowering. So that's one big thing. The second thing is the confession. I just started this, so just a couple of weeks ago I've started that, but every time I do PD with our staff or anytime I'm meeting with a team of teachers, we start with confession. I really feel like that's been, it took me a little bit longer to wrap my head around that, but when I had my administrators, our team time with just the administrators in our year 1 and year 2, that was something that really hit home for me, that's what I need to make sure that our minds are ready, and our minds and our hearts are open and willing and ready for all of the things we're going to take in. So that confession piece has just kind of started. Probably one of our biggest takeaways, and I think we've taken this a different way than maybe Gap Relief really intended us to, but the sand tray has been transformational for me as an educator and as a learner, because I'm always learning and I'm always trying to gain those things to put in my toolbox. So myself and my counselor have really latched onto that. I think for personally, the sand tray was so freeing. It was just a freeing experience for me to start to feel and do all of the things I needed to do and get through some of the junk that I was carrying as an educator. And it helped open up those windows for me. So we've now, working with Gap Relief, have starting to design PD that we're going to be able to roll out to our teachers this summer, our next school year. And I'm so excited to be able to do that. And with the funds that we are graciously given by Gap Relief to pursue further education or to pursue things that we need for our building to really hit the things with social emotional that we need to, we're going to be using some of those funds to buy sand trays for each one of our grade levels, so that when myself and my counselor or a Gap Relief or our school site come and are doing that with a student, we'll have all of the resources right there available. And we are really going to be able to transform some kids and give them that freeing opportunity to really express how they're doing it in a nonverbal play way. Sand tray, if you're not familiar with it, please go out and research it. It's amazing. And if you can, do one yourself, because as an adult, they're even more free. That's another big piece. The fourth and last piece has been a challenge for us in our building over the last few years, but this year it really hit home in our kindergarten. We had 6 kindergartners confirmed who were born addicted to opiates when they were born. It's been a challenge for us and all of the behavioral interventions we put in place for students who are born with a drug addiction. And we use conscious discipline at this building. That is our foundation for everything that we live by and go on. And with that, conscious discipline was not having the biggest impact we needed. But through Gap Relief, we found out that that's because it's different for children who have been born addicted to alcohol or drugs. FASD is what the acronym is for it, and there is specialized training that goes with that. But sadly, There's not a whole lot of places in our nation that are doing that. That is a huge area that we as a nation need to be addressing, because children are being born every single day with these horrible drugs in their system, and we have to figure out how we can help support them so that we can make them productive and citizens that are going to do things and be part of our nation. So through our Gap Relief team, I'm in touch with an organization in Little Rock. That's the closest we have to move forward with that piece, so that we can start to close these things and help support these kiddos. But without Gap Relief, I wouldn't have known these things. I wouldn't have been able to find these things. So it is through that relationship and that partnership that we are going to transform kids' lives in much different ways. And this is the way we're doing it. Education is important. Teaching them to learn, read, write, all of those things are so, so important. But if we don't teach them how to be great citizens and amazing humans, what good is reading a book going to be able to do? They've got to be able to work with other people. So we are thankful for Gap Relief. We are excited for year 2. We are glad that it is not year 2 and we are ending, because that would not be fun, because I would have to be losing a piece of my big family. So they are now part of us, and we hope that we are part of them, and we are ready for our next adventure with them. So please know that this is a well-deserved organization that needs all of the support it can get. They are transforming the lives of educators.